Hello everyone, this is Mr. Jenkins and I'm here to read you guys a great story. Actually one of my favorite stories. So the story I'm going to read today is Miss Nelson is Missing. I love this book. Okay, so Miss Nelson is Missing by Harry Allard and James Marshall. Let's get started. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling. Paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. Now settle down, said Miss Nelson in a sweet voice, but the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. Wow. Look at that. They were even rude during story hour. Uh-oh. And they always refused to do their lessons. Something will have to be done, said Miss Nelson. I wonder what has to be done. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. Wow, yelled the kids, and now we can really act up. They began to make more spitballs and paper planes. Today, let's be just terrible. Not so fast, hissed an unpleasant voice. Wow, look at that. Look at that. I wonder what that voice was. I wonder who that could be. A woman standing in an ugly black dress stood before them. I am your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp. She rapped the desk with her ruler. Where's Miss Nelson? Cried the kids. Never mind that. Open those arithmetic books. Miss Nelson kids did as they were told. Wow, look at her. She does not look nice at all. I'm sure glad she's not my teacher. They could tell that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work, and she loaded them down with tons of homework. Wow. Miss Swamp is not playing. Let's see what happens next. We'll have no story hour today, said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut. Sit perfectly still and remember, if you misbehave, you'll be sorry. The kids in room 207 never worked so hard. Days went by and there still was no sign of Miss Nelson. I wonder where she is. Where is Miss Nelson? Maybe we can try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmall was assigned to the case. He listened to their story and scratched his chin and said, I think Miss Nelson is missing. The kids can see that Detective McSmall would not be much help. Other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn and no one answered the door. In fact, the only person that they did see was the wicked Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. Let's get out of here. They got away just in time. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by a shark, said one of the kids. But that didn't seem likely. You guys think Miss Nelson was gobbled up by a shark? I don't know. I don't think that happened either. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid. But that didn't seem likely either. Going to Mars, she would have to get into a spaceship, go really far, and I don't think she did that either. What do you think? Where is Miss Nelson? Let's see. I know, exclaimed one know-it-all. Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carried off by a swarm of angry butterflies. You think that happened? But that was the least likely as well. Let's see. The kids in room 207 became very discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with the Miss Viola swamp forever. Then suddenly they heard footsteps coming down the hall. Shh! Here comes the witch. Then the door opens. Hello, children, in a sweet voice. I wonder who that was. It was Miss Nelson. Did you miss me? She asked. We certainly did, cried the kids. Where were you? That's my little secret, said Miss Nelson. How about a story hour? Oh, yes, cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour, no one was being rude or silly. What brought about this lovely change, said Miss Nelson. Oh, that's our little secret, said the kids. Miss Nelson came back. She read a nice story. The kids are very excited. They're happy to see their teacher. Wow. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat. She hung it in the closet right next to an ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sung a little song, la 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 la, I'll never tell, as she smiled to herself. An ugly black dress. That sounds really familiar. I wonder, could Miss Nelson have been, I don't know. What do you think? Okay. P.S. Detective Smog is working on a new case. He is now looking for Miss Viola Swamp. The end. Wow. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. This is one of my favorite books.